In the heart of Eurasia, a quiet revolution is taking place beneath mountains, deserts, and seas, a revolution made not with armies or borders, but with pipelines. This is the story of the Southern Gas Corridor, one of the most ambitious energy projects in modern history. A project that connects the gas fields of Azerbaijan to the homes and industries of Europe, crossing thousands of kilometers, multiple borders, and decades of political tension. But this isn't just about energy. It's about power, economic power, political leverage, and the shifting balance between East and West. So how did Azerbaijan, a relatively small country on the shores of the Caspian Sea, become one of Europe's most important energy partners? And how is this corridor shaping the future of global energy security? Let's find out. Azerbaijan's relationship with energy goes back more than a century. Long before oil transformed the Gulf states, Baku was one of the first true oil capitals of the world. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the city was booming. Oil rigs filled the skyline, and international investors, from the Nobel brothers to the Rothschilds, poured money into the region. At one point, Baku produced more than half of the world's oil. But after the Soviet Union collapsed, the city's once glorious oil fields faced decline. By the 1990s, Azerbaijan needed a new beginning, and it found one under the Caspian Sea. There, vast reserves of natural gas waited, untouched for decades. Fields like Shah Deniz, located more than 70 kilometers offshore, held the promise of a new era. But there was a problem exporting that gas. The Caspian Sea is landlocked, meaning Azerbaijan had no direct route to global markets. It would need pipelines to carry its gas westward through neighboring countries and eventually into Europe. This was the beginning of the Southern Gas Corridor. The idea first emerged in the early 2000s, backed by both Azerbaijan and the European Union. Europe wanted to diversify its energy sources, reducing its dependence on Russia. Azerbaijan, meanwhile, wanted reliable access to the European market. The plan: create a chain of pipelines stretching more than 3,500 kilometers from the Caspian Sea to Italy. The project would take decades to complete and require cooperation between multiple nations, including Georgia, Turkey, Greece, Albania, and Italy. At its heart lies a massive gas field, Shah Deniz, one of the largest in the world. From there, gas travels through a sequence of pipelines that form the backbone of the Southern Gas Corridor. The first link in the chain is the South Caucasus pipeline, which runs from Baku through Georgia and into eastern Turkey. Completed in 2006 and later expanded, it forms the initial stage of the journey. From there, the gas enters the Trans-Anatolian natural gas pipeline, better known as TANAP. This is the corridor's central artery, stretching across nearly 1,800 kilometers of Turkish territory, from the Georgian border to the Greek frontier. Then comes the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, or TAP, which continues the journey through Greece, Albania, under the Adriatic Sea, and finally into southern Italy. Together, these pipelines make up a continuous route that delivers Azerbaijani gas directly to the European Union. For the first time in history, Caspian energy could flow freely into the heart of Europe, independent of Russian infrastructure. But this project wasn't easy. Building across mountains, earthquake zones, and complex political borders required immense engineering and diplomacy. Each section of the corridor had to be financed, negotiated, and constructed by an international consortium involving companies from more than a dozen countries. At its peak, the project cost over $40 billion, a massive investment for a nation of under 10 million people. Yet Azerbaijan pressed forward, seeing the corridor not just as an economic opportunity, but as a way to define its place in the modern world. In 2020, gas finally began flowing through the full corridor. From Shah Deniz to Italy, the journey covers thousands of kilometers, supplying up to 10 billion cubic meters of gas per year to European markets, enough to power millions of homes. Countries like Greece, Albania, and Italy have benefited directly, while others in southeastern Europe are now planning extensions and connections to tap into this network. For Europe, the timing couldn't have been more critical. In recent years, Geopolitical tensions, sanctions, and the search for energy independence have made non-Russian gas supplies more valuable than ever. That's where Azerbaijan's role has become crucial. Today, the Southern Gas Corridor isn't just a series of pipes, it's a symbol of Azerbaijan's geopolitical balancing act. The country has carefully maintained relationships with both Russia and the West, while positioning itself as a reliable and independent energy supplier. For the European Union, it's a lifeline that helps diversify imports and enhance energy security. For Azerbaijan, it's a chance to strengthen its economy, attract investment, and showcase its importance on the global stage. The project also provides leverage, political influence that comes with being at the center of Europe's energy map. But like all major energy networks, the Southern Gas Corridor faces challenges. Environmental groups have raised concerns about fossil fuel expansion at a time when much of the world is trying to transition to renewable energy. Some experts also warn that geopolitical tensions could affect the corridor's stability, especially as global alliances shift. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan must navigate the delicate balance between its energy exports and its long-term goal of diversifying the economy. Still, supporters argue that natural gas remains a key bridge fuel, cleaner than coal and essential for maintaining stability as renewable technologies grow. And Azerbaijan has already begun exploring solar and wind projects, especially along the Caspian coast, aiming to become a regional hub for both traditional and renewable energy. The corridor's future may also expand eastward. With growing interest from Central Asian nations like Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, new plans are emerging to connect additional gas fields across the Caspian to Azerbaijan's network, effectively extending the corridor even further. If completed, this would turn Azerbaijan into a true energy gateway between Central Asia and Europe. At the same time, new interconnectors are being built across the Balkans and southeastern Europe, allowing countries like Serbia, Hungary, and Bulgaria to access Azerbaijani gas. Each new link strengthens the corridor's impact and makes it harder to ignore Azerbaijan's role in global energy trade. In the broader sense, the Southern Gas Corridor is more than an infrastructure project. It represents a modern-day Silk Road, not for merchants or caravans, but for energy, technology, and influence. It ties together regions that have often been divided by politics, geography, or history. And it reflects how nations like Azerbaijan can shape global systems through strategy, engineering, and persistence. For Azerbaijan, this project is deeply tied to national pride. It showcases how a country that once faced economic hardship after independence could rise to global prominence through vision and determination. And for Europe, it demonstrates the importance of diversification, ensuring energy flows remain stable even in times of uncertainty. As the world moves toward cleaner energy, the Southern Gas Corridor might one day serve as the foundation for future networks, perhaps carrying hydrogen or renewable gases instead of fossil fuels. In the end, the story of the Southern Gas Corridor is a story about connection. A connection between continents, between economies, and between the past and the future. It's a reminder that pipelines don't just move gas, they move ideas, ambitions, and opportunities. And while no project is without challenges, this one has already reshaped the way nations think about energy, independence, and cooperation. Azerbaijan's role in all this shows that even smaller nations can play a massive part in the world's most complex systems if they find the right path forward. And as always, it's important to remember, while this video offers a factual overview, viewers should research for themselves to learn more about the details, opinions, and developments behind projects like this. Because the Southern Gas Corridor isn't just about what's been built, it's about what comes next. Thanks for watching. What role do you think the Southern Gas Corridor will play for the future of energy?